Morning, folks. Welcome back to 3 Zen. Bobo here. So this morning I'm going to talk a little bit about logbooks. I don't know where or when, but at some time very early in my career, I discovered that the Navy issues their aviators logbooks. I always thought that was kind of neat. Come down from a flight, pull out your logbook, log your times and so forth, any notes, this, that, and the other. And I just filed it in the back of my mind, and when I finally got to pilot training, I thought, well, where's our logbooks? And I was told, we don't have those stinking logbooks. Well, why not? Well, I've got some thoughts on that, but we'll leave them to another day, I suppose. Cheap bastards. Anyway, those were inside words, okay? They weren't meant to come out. But anyway, so we would typically fill out our forms, and the forms would go up to the forms division up at headquarters in the DO shop. And then once a month, we'd get a computer printout of our flying time. So month by month, we'd get a computer printout that kind of looked like this. And over the years, I've saved a ton of these for various months and so forth, as we all did. And then when I left the Air Force, they kind of ceremoniously handed me my flying time in a folder like this. Isn't this special? I mean, it really makes you proud to have a nice big green heavy folder of all your flying time. Whoopee. So how tacky is that anyway? So in 1980, I get this assignment to Australia. I'm gonna go down there and work for their flight safety division at Canberra, kind of like in the Pentagon. So I get assigned down there, and one of the first things I noticed was all the other guys in the office had logbooks. The RAF, the Royal Australian Air Force, as well as all of the Commonwealth countries issue their aviators logbooks. Well, we don't have no logbooks. I started looking at them, and they're really pretty slick. And I thought, you know what? We're going to take care of this problem when I get back to the States. So I made some mental notes on their logbooks, and then when I got back, I started thinking about it a little bit more and decided to put it off. This was around 1982, and I didn't retire until 1988, and I sure as hell didn't want to come up with this idea and go into publication only to have the Air Force claim it because I was doing it on government time. No, you're not going to play that game. So anyway, as soon as I retired from the Air Force, while I was waiting to get hired by the airlines, I sat down and started playing around with a couple concepts. And after a little bit of time, I came up with this idea here, the pilot's flying logbook. And one of the problems I discovered is we don't have a huge pilot community. We just don't produce many of them, to where it's profitable to produce these books in any great numbers. So that was a challenge. But that being said, I just decided to suck it up and do it out on my own. I didn't do it to make money. I did it to instill heritage and pride and things on that nature. I only came up with a pilot's flying logbook because that's all I could afford. I couldn't afford a navigator's flying logbook. Maybe somebody else will pick up on that. I think it's a great idea. Okay, that being said, when you open the book, the first thing I see in mine are a couple stickers there. ATCIG and the Royal Australian flag. And then I put a note in here to capture a dream. My earliest memories are those of flying. Who knows their origins? I don't. I don't know where I picked up on them, but I know growing up on Air Force bases, that's all I ever wanted to do was just to fly. All I know is being a jet pilot is what I fantasized about. As a kid in Puerto Rico riding my Schwinn F-86 Sabre bike, there wasn't such a thing. The one I rode never got airborne unless I went off the curb or something like that. To sneaking rides with naval recruiters while at Bowling Green, enrolled in the ROTC program, the Air Force ROTC program. What a blow it was to me when I was disqualified from the flight instruction program for color vision. Yet I could never bring myself to give up my dream to fly for the United States Air Force. I remember sitting on the steps in front of base ops at Randolph Air Force Base in July 1968, just after I graduated, watching T-38s do touch and goes and looking to the heavens, pleading with God to give me a chance. Well, he did. I took it, and I never looked back. So then the next page, you have a couple more stickers in here from units I was in. And then I put in the definitions along, just so it makes it easy for people to figure it out. And then I have a little cartoon pasted in here. One of the things I noticed about the Australians was they would take things that were pertinent to their flying, whatever appealed to them, and they'd paste them in their logbooks, like this Peanuts cartoon. Now, I'm a mad keen Peanuts fan. And it says, here's the World War I flying ace zooming through the air with his Sopwith Camel. I feel sorry for those poor blighters in the trenches down below. I think I'll wave to them. And then he looks up into the skies and he says, blighters always feel better when you wave to them. So for the blighters out there, nice to see everybody. And then I started out with my flying career. First flight was on 29 April 1970. And you come through and I can find some all the way across to the far right are notes that I put in here. And a lot of times these notes stimulate the stories I'm going to share with you on any given day. I've got initial solo in T-37. And some of the IPs I flew with, most of them I remember. There's a couple I don't. Initial solo. And then I had an instructor, Roger Gossick. God, I love that guy. He was just a cool guy. And so I would, as in later years, as I would encounter these guys, I'd take my logbook in and ask them to sign it. Roger said, Bob, always remember, if you don't care where you're at, you can't be lost. Best wishes, Roger. He's also the guy that used to teach, he was a stand eval guy in our flight, and he'd say, when he'd introduce an emergency procedure, he said, just keep in mind, he said, busy hands are happy hands. Funny the way that comes. And then when I graduated, you got the picture there on in April 1971. And I put on there with thanks to Russ Sweets and Rick Vail, my instructor pilots. Now, I'm not going to take you all the way through this thing. That would kind of wear me out. But I've got flights to Torrejon, Incirlik, Tehran, Addis Ababa in here, and so forth. Southeast Asia experiences in here. Cross country, put this in somewhere over Utah. You can see that. I just like that picture, so I stuck it in my logbook. Bill Ferrier, good friend of mine, and I took a 38 one afternoon, went flying just because we could. And let's see, Bill Ferrier, 6 landings. I don't know why I put that in there. At any rate, you get the idea. And then in the back, log record of flight simulators. I had a ton of simulator time. Here you can see it in here, stuck in there. And then I put a place in here for who my bosses were and so forth like that. Record of stand eval check rides. Yeah, here. These are the different people I worked with. Beginning with Captain Stan Sophie, Mike Walensky, John McBroom, Oscar Butcher was my instructor at Altus and so forth. You kind of get the idea. I have volume 1 and volume 2. When you fly 1.1, 1.2, it fills these books up pretty fast. At any rate, you get the idea. On my other logbook, I've got one signature that I just cracks me up. I was coming back from L.A. to Milwaukee one evening, and we had Bob Uecker on the airplane. So I took my logbook back, and I said to Bob, well, first of all, we were kind of empty, and he was sitting in the back. I said, hey, Mr. Uecker, I said, how'd you like to come down to the front row? So I brought him up to first class, and he was appreciative. And then I brought my logbook and asked him if he wouldn't mind signing it. And he did. He wrote down, he asked me what I wanted to put in it, full disclosure. And I said, well, can you put this in it? And he looked at me and grinned, and sure enough, he said, yeah, he says, I could have been on the Thunderbirds, but I chose baseball. So we just kind of let it go at that with a grin. At any rate, that's the story of the Pilot's Flying Logbook. If anybody sees this as a project, would like to take it up and reprint or reproduce these things, I'll be happy to work with you because I do think personalized logbooks and the like really instill a sense of heritage in us. And in later years, you can look back, pull through the logbook, see various and sundry things that carry meaning to you, a lot more than a stupid green folder of computerized flight records. What were they thinking? At any rate, I've rambled on enough about logbooks. Got that pretty well covered. So this is Bobo. Good to see everybody. Base gear. Stop.